At 11:47 p.m., one man is sitting at his dining table, staring silently at his banking app. He earns nearly six figures a year. Nice apartment, luxury furniture, new phone, designer clothes, modern kitchen, big television glowing across the living room. From the outside, his life looks successful. But right now, he's calculating whether he can survive another unexpected expense this month. His chest tightens every time his phone vibrates, because deep down, he knows something dangerous. If his income stops, his entire lifestyle collapses almost immediately. Now, across the same city, another person is getting ready to sleep peacefully. Smaller income, simpler apartment, older car, fewer possessions. But there's something this person has that the first one doesn't. Breathing room. No panic when bills arrive. No fear of checking account balances. No dependence on the next paycheck arriving perfectly on time. And here's the strange part. The second person earns almost half as much. Most people hear stories like this and assume one person must be terrible with money. Usually that's not true. The real difference is much quieter. One person built a lifestyle. The other built stability. And modern culture trains people to confuse those two things constantly. Because everywhere you look, people are taught that success should look expensive. A better car, a bigger apartment, a newer phone, a more impressive lifestyle. But almost nobody talks about the hidden price of constantly upgrading your life. Not the purchase price, the life price. Because every object you own quietly asks something from you in return. Space, attention, maintenance, money, mental energy. And over time, those invisible costs become heavy. That expensive espresso machine isn't just an espresso machine. It becomes cleaning, counter space, maintenance, replacement parts, mental clutter. The giant walk-in closet isn't just storage. It slowly becomes pressure to fill empty space. And humans are incredibly good at filling empty space. That's why people move into bigger homes, then slowly buy enough things to make those homes feel full again. Which means the expenses never really stop. That's the trap. Most people think they're buying comfort, but often they're buying future obligations. And obligations quietly steal freedom. Minimalists understand something that sounds simple, but changes almost everything once you truly feel it. Owning less is not about having less. It's about needing less to feel okay. That changes your relationship with money completely. Because when your emotional stability stops depending on consumption, your financial life becomes dramatically calmer. Now let me show you the first mindset shift that changes how minimalists spend money. Before buying anything, they mentally divide purchases into two categories: things that improve life repeatedly and things that create excitement temporarily. That distinction matters more than most people realize. A quality mattress improves your sleep every night. A durable pair of shoes improves daily comfort constantly. But many purchases don't improve life repeatedly. They create a short emotional spike, then quietly become background clutter. That's why minimalists often ask one question before spending money. How long will this actually improve my life? Not impress people, not feel exciting in the moment, actually improve daily life. Because temporary excitement is extremely expensive when repeated for years. And modern shopping culture survives by keeping people emotionally overstimulated. Think about how online shopping really works. Limited time offers, flash sales, countdown timers, only 2 left in stock. None of this exists accidentally. Urgency weakens rational thinking. The faster you buy, the less clearly you think. Minimalists slow everything down intentionally. Some wait 24 hours before buying non-essential items. Others wait an entire week for expensive purchases. And something fascinating happens. Most desires fade surprisingly fast. What felt emotionally urgent on Tuesday often feels completely unnecessary by Friday. That realization alone saves people enormous amounts of money. But minimalism isn't only about spending less. It's also about reducing invisible stress. Look around the average home carefully. Unused cables, crowded drawers, closets full of clothes barely worn, old electronics, random containers filled with forgotten objects. Most people adapt to the clutter so completely, they stop noticing how mentally draining it feels. But the brain still notices. Every unfinished pile quietly pulls attention. Every disorganized corner creates low-level mental friction. That's why people often feel strangely lighter after cleaning a room thoroughly. Nothing dramatic changed, but the brain stopped processing chaos. Minimalists protect their mental clarity the same way athletes protect physical energy, carefully, intentionally, because clarity is valuable. Now here's where things become uncomfortable. A lot of people don't actually buy things because they need them. They buy things because they're emotionally exhausted. Stress shopping, boredom shopping, reward shopping, identity shopping. This version of me owns these kinds of things. That emotional cycle quietly becomes expensive. And the scary part is, many high earners never escape it. Their income rises, but so do their standards. A better couch, a nicer watch, a more luxurious vacation, a larger television. And each upgrade feels small individually. But years later, they wake up trapped inside a lifestyle that consumes almost everything they earn. Not because they're foolish, because lifestyle inflation happens gradually, quietly, almost invisibly. Minimalists interrupt this process by defining enough early. Enough space, enough luxury, enough clothing, enough convenience. Because if enough is never defined, desire becomes endless, and endless desire creates endless financial pressure. That's why some people making $300,000 still feel financially insecure. Meanwhile, someone earning far less quietly builds investments, savings, and freedom. Because freedom grows in the gap between income and lifestyle. That gap is everything. The wider it becomes, the calmer life feels, and eventually something surprising happens. The desire to impress people starts disappearing. Because financial security creates a kind of confidence that possessions never can. You stop needing visible proof that you're doing well. Your emergency fund becomes the proof. Your peace becomes the proof. Your ability to say no becomes the proof. That's real wealth. Not luxury branding, not oversized houses, not closets full of things nobody truly needs. Real wealth is flexibility. Can you leave a toxic environment? Can you survive unexpected hardship? Can you take time off without panic? Can you sleep peacefully without obsessing over bills? That's the kind of wealth minimalists chase. Freedom wealth. And ironically, people who stop trying to look rich often become financially stronger than the people desperately trying to appear successful. Because every unnecessary expense steals future options. The expensive car payment might cost future travel. The oversized apartment might cost future freedom. The constant upgrading might cost future peace. Most purchases are not only financial decisions. They are life trade-offs. And once you truly understand that, consumption starts feeling very different. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "What is this costing my future?" That question changes people, because suddenly, buying less doesn't feel restrictive anymore. It feels intelligent, intentional, peaceful. And maybe that's the biggest misunderstanding about minimalism. People think minimalists sacrifice happiness, but many minimalists are not giving up happiness at all. They're giving up excess pressure, excess noise, excess financial stress, excess emotional dependency on material things. And in return, they gain space, breathing room, clarity, security, freedom. In the end, one person spends their entire life upgrading possessions. The other spends their life upgrading peace. And years later, one has a house full of impressive objects. The other has something far more valuable: control over their own life.